Okay, so I have been watching lots of stuff on Netflix now. I just signed up yesterday, or 3 days ago, and I've gone through the whole Messiah episode, and now I'm doing the Warrior Nun. The Warrior Nun interested me because I saw there was a channel that was talking all about like Babylon and saying how like this is controlled by like the Babylon spirit or energy or whatever. And they brought up this film, and they were talking about the series, the second series, how the Warrior how Lilith is has brought back to the show, and I think she gains whatever. I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. I mean, it's still on the first series, but the second series seemed really interesting. So you start from the beginning, and yeah, I am not a big fan on the first series. I have to admit. You know, I feel like the main character, is not someone I actually relate to. But when I think about all the reasons why I don't relate to her, one, I think first think, I'm kind of pissed off with people like we're seeing so many characters that seem to be prophesying about me or linking to me or making connections to me. And so it's just like interesting how she doesn't really link to me, and yet I don't like her for that reason. Hence, I do like characters that link to me, but if they do link to me, I start getting paranoid as to thinking that people know about me and stuff. But yeah, with this one, I would say she doesn't link to me. But then when I kind of thought about it, well, you've got her sort of lying paralyzed on a bed throughout most of, well, her life, basically. So she had a car accident when she's 6, and she's left sort of not able to move from the neck downwards. I think she starts moving her arms later on in life, so she can just about move her fingers and stuff. But I don't relate to her at all, how she acts. But basically, she gets this halo printed in her. She dies, and she gets this halo put into her, and it not only brings her back to life, but it also cures this problem that she has, so she can move and walk and stuff. And the thing is, though, the second she gets this halo, she wants nothing to do with the nuns, and she wants to just live her life. I can understand why you would want to live your life. If you've been paralyzed all your life, and you finally get a chance of having a normal life, you'd want to take the most of that. And if she had this experience where she was paralyzed from 6 up to sort of 18, and the nun that has been looking after her from this age has been treating her really badly and treating her like crap, basically. And this screen is really, it's just having difficulty. I'm hoping it's not stopping, but yeah. Yeah, so, but the thing is, though, it's just unrealistic. It's unrealistic because the nun that is looking after her starts saying huge, like saying that she's the devil child and she's a pain, and just telling other priests how bad of a person this person is and that she's like a nightmare. And you don't realize at the time she's paralyzed from the neck downwards. You just know that she was in a bed and you saw her in a wheelchair and stuff. But to learn that she was paralyzed from the neck down, and to see these later on, you see like these clips of her, this nun treating her really badly. I'm just like, who the hell would treat someone who's paralyzed from the neck downwards badly? And all the people that she's working with, why isn't anyone being like with her that she shouldn't be saying this about someone who's paralyzed from the neck downwards? And then I feel like that was just a massive fault in the story, because I like things to be realistic, and yeah, if someone is looking after someone who's paralyzed from the neck down and is saying all these terrible things about her, that woman should be fired. Later, you find out that the reason why she died was actually because she injected poison in her, and she comes back for a vengeance and she kills the person. And just before she dies, she reveals that she's killed loads of kids because she doesn't like the idea of them moving out of care. When they get to 18, they move to a different place, and she loses their care. But that doesn't make any sense, because if she didn't like this woman, surely she'd be glad that this paralyzed child who she shouldn't hate, but if she's moving somewhere else, she should be glad of it if she doesn't like her. So it doesn't make any sense. That I felt like that storyline didn't make any sense, and because of that, you would understand why she would hate nuns and hate religious people. So, you could understand why she doesn't want to work with the church, because she has this thing in her back and it gives her superpowers. The people in the church want her to want to use their superpowers so that they can benefit, because she can see demons with these superpowers and she does things. So they want her to be on her side. But at the same time, there's also another fault, which is that if they want her to be on their side, then why do they start treating her like? Why do some of them start treating her terribly since the beginning, since she goes in there, she tells them that I didn't commit suicide. And there's one nun that was just like, of course she does, and I don't believe it. I've read your report and I believe it. And it's just like, you've not met this girl. You know she's been paralyzed from the neck downwards for most of her life, and instantly you're going to just brand her like a liar and a bitch. And I don't know. And there's a lot of, they're supposed to be nuns, but at the same time, a lot of them seemed awful. They seemed to treat each other terribly. There's the huge amount of hostility between these sort of so-called family people, and I felt like there was just, with so much of it, there was just so many flaws in the story that I didn't like, you know. And another thing is, if this thing that's been put in her that brought her back to life, you know, some of the priests think that it's chosen her, and it's, you know, she's chosen for a reason, and this thing is supposed to be like an angel's halo, and this angel's halo has chosen this girl for a reason, but this girl wants to do nothing but just get away and live her own life, and wants nothing to do with helping or doing anything. So it's just like, well, why is the halo chosen her? You know, I don't relate to her because she doesn't seem to have any real goal of helping people. But then you can understand why she doesn't want to help people, because she's been paralyzed all her life. And I relate to her because I feel like I have been paralyzed, because I feel like sometimes the spirit comes out of me. And it's weird because it hasn't actually, this spirit that I feel comes out of me hasn't been very strong in the last few weeks. And it's almost like, if I don't feel it over a couple of weeks, it's almost like I forget that it ever happened. But yeah, seeing her being paralyzed and seeing these flashes of her being like that, it's like, that's nothing like me. And then I was like, actually, it is quite like me, because that's pretty much how I feel. When I feel most strong, when I feel like I'm inspiring things the strongest, I usually go through these sort of hourly patches of being paralyzed. But yeah, there's a difference between feeling paralyzed for a couple of hours, or a day or weeks or months or whatever, to knowing that you 100% are paralyzed and you literally can't even feed yourself. And I don't know. And I just think, when she met these new people, you know, she met a bunch of group of people who were actually just squatting in a house. And I don't know, she didn't act like someone who has been paralyzed all her life, and she didn't want to tell them the story about how she was paralyzed. She didn't want to tell her any information at all. And I just feel like, if you were paralyzed all your life, and so you've got someone who really likes you, a boyfriend potentially, and he really likes you, why wouldn't you just say basics? Like, you don't have to say everything. You don't have to say there's a halo in your back or anything, or that you see demons now, or that you've got superpowers. But surely you would say something about your life, like, you know, I was paralyzed and now I'm not, or something along that. And it's just, I felt like I couldn't get involved with the character, because I felt like there was too many flaws in what she didn't do, or how she didn't act like someone who had never been outside an orphanage. She didn't act like if you've been paralyzed for such a long time, you would have a huge amount of humbleness towards you. You like you know, like you've been through a horrible traumatic thing, and it was almost like you couldn't see any trauma in her. She was just like a bratty teenager who maybe had a caged life. But yeah, she didn't seem like someone who had gone through the trauma of being paralyzed for a very long time. So yeah, I felt like the character wasn't realistic, and the nun character that was despised her. How can you despise someone who's paralyzed from the neck? I just that just doesn't make any sense. And and yeah, there's a lot of things I didn't like. I don't like the attitudes of the nuns. And then there's this other one who's desperately trying to save her son, but she's trying to do it via opening a portal, and she's convinced that this portal leads to heaven. And it's just like, how do you know it leads to heaven? I mean, technically, you don't know where it leads, so you can't keep saying that it's heaven. But the nuns are convinced that it's leading to hell, and they don't want them to open this portal, but they're trying to keep all the secrets and relics and things, that the power that can open this portal, they want to keep it away. And I don't know, I feel like it's just, I'm hoping the second series would be better, because the Lilith person who actually dies halfway through, and she dies because she's trying to take the halo off this girl that doesn't want the halo, but does want to live. And she thinks, well, she doesn't know she might die if the halo's removed, but she just doesn't seem to be interested in anything about what's happened to her. She just wants to just forget about it. But she's trying to get the halo off her, and she ends up dying. But she's supposed to be like a long line of generations of people who, you know, have had this halo. And so she's kind of like the next in line have had it. And I feel like she is the more deserving person. She's the one who actually wants to use it for proper good, and she's got a huge amount of skill and power already. So if she was to have it, she would become superly powerful. And this girl who doesn't even want it, I don't know. And also they kept saying it's like fate and destiny and stuff, and you just think, well, she's been paralyzed for 10 years. If she is fate and chosen, why would she also have such a terrible life? You know, I've had a terrible life, yes, but I'm not actually paralyzed. I don't need people feeding me. I don't need, I can walk, I can do things, and my life is bad, but it's not that bad. And yeah, if someone's trying to say that you've got this halo for fate, but also you're trying to say it to someone who's just been paralyzed for such a long time. I feel like there's too many flaws in this story, so I'm kind of trying to skip now. And I'm almost at the end of the series. I'm kind of skipping through the series to try and get to series two, and hopefully when Liv comes back, it makes a bit more sense. But yes, and I got a bit bored of it actually, and I started watching the Wednesday because my uncle's here, so I started watching the Wednesday film. But I'll just see if this is recorded properly.